Okay, everybody needs to relax, chill out, take a pill, take a shot of vodka, do what you got to do. And I will explain exactly what Nick Walker meant when he said a little bit more than a TRT dose. All right. So Nick Walker went on the HD Muscle podcast. First of all, I didn't even know HD Muscle podcast had a goddamn podcast that I don't know, whatever. But I just found out that today, right? I was okay, whatever. Doesn't matter. It was Nick Walker, Antoine Vaillant, and James Hollingshead. And a little bit later, Justin Shear or Shire or whatever the hell his name is. I screw up everybody's name. Was on. He joined a little bit later. And I thought the internet was going to blow up, or I thought my phone was going to blow up because people were DMing me about what Nick Walker said, saying things like, he says he's only on a little bit more than a TRT dose. And he said it, and they sent me the clips and everything, and blah, blah. So I went back and I watched it. Okay. So let's see exactly what he said when he was talking about the TRT dose.
I would say probably did like a little more than a TRT dose the entire time, pretty much.
All right. So what he said was, in his off season, he didn't push the gear and he didn't push the food. He said that in his off season, he was doing a little bit more than a TRT dose. Okay. It's very vague. Okay. So when you say things that are vague, people jump to conclusions and say, he only does a little bit, then he's full of shit. He said he only does a little bit of TRT to get ready for his contest. So it's blah, 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 blah. All right. First of all, he didn't mention milligrams. 1,000 milligrams could be a TRT dose to him. We don't know. Okay. The only thing he said that was keywords was off season. And you got to look through his career as a bodybuilder from 2022 to 2023. Okay. He was in prep for the Olympia in 2022. And then he went right into prep for the Arnold Classic because there was only 3 months in between. And as soon as he heard that the prize money went through the roof, he jumped into the Arnold Classic. So it was in 2022 of December was the Olympia, and March of 2023, early March of 2023 was the Arnold Classic. Okay. So there was no off season. He went right into prep for the Arnold after that. Okay. So he went from the Arnold Classic, taking second. And then the next show he's going to do is next week at the Olympia, which is in November. Okay. His off season couldn't have been more than 16 or 20 weeks because he has to prep for the Olympia. All right. So let's say he needs 16 to 20 weeks to prep for the Olympia, right? So he probably started prepping, I would say, either in June or July for November of 2023 for the Olympia. Okay. So now you're looking at approximately 16 to 20 weeks, probably 16 weeks of an off season. And let's say a reasonable amount for a little bit more than a TRT dose that everybody knows is 250 milligrams. Because everybody knows, basically, generally speaking, everybody's a little bit different, but usually do 100 milligrams a week for a TRT dose. Okay. Now that is general. Some people need a little bit more. Some people need a little less. We're going to generalize because he wasn't very specific. So we are just going to generalize, which is what I think he basically means. So what he was really doing was cruising. 250 milligrams. We don't know if he stopped using growth. We don't know if he used anything else. We have no idea. It was just, he was specifically talking about testosterone. TRT was his words. So he did 250 milligrams a week for 16 weeks. Do you think he's going to lose all his size? No, he's going to maintain everything. He's Nick Walker. He's a professional bodybuilder. He's going to eat like a bodybuilder. He's going to train like a bodybuilder, and he let his body clear out, which is the smart thing to do. So he didn't push the envelope, which is a good idea. But everybody's freaking out. Everybody's bugging. Everybody thinks he's lying and that he's full of shit. You just have to kind of dissect it a little bit because it was very vague. Then once he gets into prep for the Olympia, believe me, he's not doing a little bit more than a TRT dose, okay? Definitely not. All right. And I'm sure there's a ton of other things that he's using, but he specifically said off season. So the other thing that he said is that he didn't say it specifically. What happened was Justin Shire, whatever the fucking guy's name is, joins and they were talking about insulin. Okay. Now let's see what basically he said there.
Have you ever used insulin?
Well, the thing is, I agree, and I think the thing is, the results versus the price ain't worth it.
For sure.
And I also feel like that's, of course, everything is done a certain way, right? But I think growth is just another way to blunt your sensitivity.
For sure. Exactly. So that's
So
what,
why?
Now, what you saw was Justin spoke about insulin and Nick shook his head. So I could assume that Nick doesn't use insulin, which does not necessarily have to be a lie. Insulin's not for everybody. There is no, just because you're an elite top bodybuilder doesn't mean you take every drug under the sun. Some people use insulin, some people don't. It helps some people, it doesn't help other people. Some people take small doses, some people take high doses. Everybody's a little bit different, so they need different amounts, different drugs, different things that react to it. Look, when I was competing, okay, I know I'm not even close to being on their level. I'm just giving you an example. Everybody loved EQ. Everybody loved Anadrol. I hated them. They did nothing for me. And no matter how many times I tried EQ or Anadrol, I saw very little results. Right? But the other drugs, like I saw more results from D-ball than I did Anadrol. I saw more results from Decan than I did from EQ. So everybody reacts a little bit differently. So because he's saying that he was on a little bit more than a TRT dose during his off season and that he doesn't use insulin, doesn't mean he's lying, and it doesn't mean he's bullshitting. It's just it's a vague statement, but it's very possible. It's very, very possible. Okay, so let's stop. Everybody take a breath. In, out. Namaste. Okay. So it's very, very possible that Nick Walker for 16 weeks took a little more than a TRT dose. We good? Okay, good. Next time we'll be on here, I'll talk about something more important because I just can't believe how this blew up my phone this morning or this afternoon or whatever the fuck it did. Fuck you guys.